good evening, Geeta, and it's really so nice to have you here.
Good evening, Mansee, and
And
same here.
yeah, thank you so much to agree to finally get interviewed for this research which I am conducting on women in architecture. It has been really tough to stop women around the country and take their, consensus to get this recording done. But I really appreciate that you took out time because I also know that your semester ended today and a new semester started today. So you must be exhausted, but I hope I can really make you recharge again with some time machine and make you go back in history and find some beautiful things. So I'm going to throw you some questions right from your childhood to date, and you may just feel relaxed to answer about them. And please also confirm to me if I can record this, and at the same time you have to also give me your consent to publish it later on in the YouTube channel. So I again thank you for agreeing to take this interview and help me conduct my research. Geeta.
Thank you, Mansee. Yes, I would be more than happy that you go ahead with the record. And there's nothing much to tell you. I think we have spoken a lot in last many years now. And I'm okay with you going ahead with your publication also. I hope I will do justice with what you want to ask without, kisi emotional bahav mein aaye bagair.
Thank you. And yes, we know each other for now more than 20 years, and
Yes.
that's remarkable. Huh? And
Yes.
I think that's going to make things easier. But nevertheless, there are some things which I don't know beyond 20 years. So, and I'm going to ask those things as well. So my question starts from the high school childhood, which actually brought you to architecture. What made you join architecture? Because I am talking about, I think, 30 years ago, or how many years ago?
Yes.
Yes, 30 years.
Um, well, I mean, my family is a family of artists. My elder brother and my younger brother, I'm the second one in the family. We are a family of four, three brothers and myself. And uh, I think maybe my mother also uh, used to draw, and I think eventually that was seen amongst all four of us. And my father was a mechanical engineer. He just passed away recently, 3 months back.
Sorry to hear
Uh,
that. Hmm.
yes, he had this habit because his was a transferable job, and so we moved to a lot of places. So my initial schooling was in Delhi. Um, so he used to take us for this painting competition when we were young. I would say that he was instrumental in bringing in us that creativity which was hidden as a very young, young children. Myself, my elder brother. So every year there used to be I don't remember the name of the competition, but it used to be for all the school kids. I think Shankar painting competition. It was it was hosted every year, and we would march every year. We just wait to go for those competitions with our new sets of paintings and pencils, and myself and my brother and both of us, basically my younger two brothers were quite young, so me and my elder brother, with 2 years of difference, we used to go and participate. And he was a better artist, without any background of formal education at that age. Also, he could really get the proportions right. And I was very crude in terms of I never had the kind of a realistic proportionate forms, or he was more fascinated with animals, and he could really draw well effortlessly, especially his fascination for horses. And I was more on doing landscape and village-scapes, and I don't know, because they had left a deep impression. Because every year, not every year, I would say once in 3 years, we used to go back home in a remote village in Karnataka, in Bidar. I'm sure you're aware of Bidar by now. We did a studio there. And my granny had a house which had almost 5 to 6 courtyards. Part of it was dilapidated. And I have that such, I mean, it had such a deep, deep impression on me. The daily life there, the every day a woman would come with a cow dung slurry and I mean, putting everywhere, making a fresh flooring, and then my granny would end up going making the rangolis, and I was there always with her to do try my hand. So that used to reflect in most of my paintings. uh, and then we moved back to Karnataka, and I was in eighth standard, and I took an admission into girls only school after co-education in Delhi. I was studying in Delhi Kannada school. um, it was I always took part in competition, drawing competition, painting competition, and um, somewhere probably I was competing with my brother. I would be very frank here, because the kind of should I say, praises and accolades he was showered with, somewhere I used to feel that even I should get it from my father. You know, I always yearned to have that kind of a thing. And and then came a pre-university first year and second year in Gulbarga, a small place, for children like four of us. We moved back in 82, 83. Yeah, that was a time when Indira Gandhi. Uh, I mean, after that she was shot dead, and then that was the time, and it was a mixed feeling, to come back to a place. Um and to this date, I still struggle to have that rootedness with the place. It's 20 years and only now. Uh, from 82 to 93, 95 in Gulbarga. 99 we moved to Hubli. So that sense of rootedness. So I still associate with part of my life, especially the schooling days in Delhi, in Saket and Malviya Nagar DDA flats, which was designed by Kuldeep Singh, beautifully done. And I remember the DDA flats had this, semi-covered streets like thing, and we used to have a gala time playing I Spice or hide and seek, and rolling, should I say, patches of ground in between, and where I learned my cycling, and I drew straight into a bush, and I hurt myself. So um, after 20 years, I could effortlessly draw that, Mansi, when I didn't go there, but I could really draw that when I joined architecture. And then then I happened to go there just few years back. And I was reliving that place, all those spaces where we used to hide, and all those kind of, the
The
typologies which
education,
make
I
sense
guess.
now to those buildings which are not like RCC boxes, but they really had meaningful spaces for children of my age group too. And I remember women sitting on the ground in the lawns in winters, कोई स्वेटर बुनता है, कोई कुछ कर रहा है, कोई मूंगफली छिल रहा है, and those really made sense to me, that these are ordinary lives captured so well, taken into consideration while designing by this architect. Maybe this came to me later in my later stages. So pre-university one and two, and I graduate with the first class or whatever. But then I had this, and before venturing into architecture, half of the time I was just spend in the Institute of Ideal Fine Arts. I was somehow more fascinated. And there were moments when I regretted, why did I take architecture? I should have been a better artist, because I used to rigorously draw and paint uh, without even understanding what I'm doing. And I never had anyone to give me some kind of a direction to say, okay, this is what I never had, but I used to hang around in the Finance Institute. So I was most of the time in the Finance Institute, then in architecture school. Getting into architecture was again a major decision, because my elder brother ended up doing finance, because he couldn't uh, he couldn't do architecture. So and somewhere I felt that it was my father's desire, probably, that he wanted want someone to do architecture. So somehow my brother couldn't do it, so maybe. And I had this fascination. By then I had this in me that creativity or drawing or um, uh, heritage places or ruins or my granny's houses, then try to figure out how this building was, which was partially dilapidated. So my inquiry as to यहाँ क्या होता था, वहाँ क्या होता था, रसोई कहाँ था, चूल्हा कहाँ था, and all kind of thing. And those beautiful hibiscus tree in the courtyard with the well. I don't know why they keep recurring to me, the house. So I went there just 15 days back. It's in a very bad shape. Hopefully, I'm able to conserve it.
I'm
So
sure,
somewhere
I'm sure.
that was my highest. I felt that that's my calling. Uh, Now just few years back that maybe it's the heritage because I did architecture somehow. My father wanted me to do computers because that was the new branch which was opened at somewhere way back in 88 in PDA College of Engineering, Gulbarga. And the principal was my father's friend. And he said, why is your daughter taking up architecture? It's a 5 year course and she should take up computers. Uh, it's a very lucrative in terms of,
Yes.
jobs uh, and my friends, I had two close friends, and they decided to do computers even though they did not really fare well in mathematics and I was comparatively better. But in spite of that, my father said, why don't you join? You have another two friends, so you can, 8th, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, and then you can continue with your engineering together. But I don't know, uh, maybe I was very, very, should I say, prepared to walk alone from then on. You know, I took this decision and I told my father, if I'm going for higher studies, I will do architecture. Otherwise, I think I'll sit at home.
I had a similar situation, by the way. In my 12th, I took 1 year off and I was just doing Netagiri Youth Congress. I just stayed back because I did not qualify architecture. And yeah, so I think the strong-headedness right from childhood is one thing which we carry, as I was saying about the title also for the book. So when you were actually studying architecture and then you came for your postgraduate much later, but just during your early education life, were you already feeling that this profession for women, for men, or because in schools and colleges, we teachers are usually not making that distinction. But were you already feeling from within because
No, no,
also
I
it will
never
be like
felt. I
next
never,
step?
yeah,
No,
no,
you
I
were not.
never felt that because look, it was a very small group of 8 students in a class.
Okay, so
Uh,
very nice, huh?
I think
Like we
eight
also
students in
had
a
in SEPT during our
Yes,
masters.
yes. 3 girls and 5 boys. By the time we graduated, it's only 3 girls who graduated. Rest all took their sweet time to graduate.
Yes,
So,
which usually happens with the boys. They
yes,
are they
and
get spoilt
yes,
by the
and
final year. Hmm.
yes, and we used to get our teachers from Bombay and Sholapur, the nearest place to Gulbarga, and of course, there were teachers who were teaching in JJ School of Arts, and they're quite encouraging. They never discriminated though, but I would say that the kind of formal, like the kind of education or the kind of, I would say not education, the spoon feeding we do now, the kind of information which is available now to those students, we never had those then. And when I took an admission, there was already some strike which was going on against one of the faculties, maybe the HOD, and then and we were like like a group of new people in the herd. We were asked to sit for dharana. So 2-3 महीने उसी में निकल गए. And then we graduated in 4.5 years instead of 5 years.
So no
So
training or there was training?
we did a training of 1 year. Then it was a
Okay.
training of 1 year. So I underwent a training with Navnath and Shankar Kanade. They
Hmm.
were more into
Yes.
low cost housing and also at Gulbarga.
Hmm.
Uh, yes, I mean, uh, more than the formal teaching from the school, half of the time, as I said, I was half of the time in the fine arts institution. By the time, as I said, and also my father, since the beginning, he had this habit of bringing books, getting books. When I took an admission into architecture, and because he used to travel a lot and travel across the world, and I used to get many books. I mean, he would get, it was my personal copy. I mean, at that time, to own a personal copy of B.V. Doshi's book, or Charles Correa's book, or
Wow.
to 20th century architecture. I mean, it was something. And I would say that going through them had a deeper impact,
Yes, I'm
and they
sure.
must have influenced my design. But I don't know. I mean, I don't see in terms of grades or marks. But then I do see when I go back to my look into my portfolios, because I have them still. Um, it was more of a more of improving myself than looking around as to what is happening. So to put it in a nutshell, that I was engrossed in my own world, Mansi. My
I
visits to
still see that
finance
when you,
college.
yeah, I still see that when you do your urban design studios, that whether students are really, really like around you like these bees, and they are just trying to get as much as from you because you are just really, really immersed in your subject. So I can
Yeah,
completely relate that with
yeah.
you. But when you were graduating, and of course we all had those goosebumps, like what next job, because the job was always a crisis in architecture, and especially the salary part, and then families and people asking. But what was it going around in your head, because you also had an early family life started then?
Yes.
Were you already feeling the heat of being woman in the profession, or you had straight away started, or you were into job, or how was it?
Um, 1 month into architecture school, as a fresh as a fresh admission, I got engaged. Okay. And 1 year
Oh
down
my
the line,
god.
that is the second year, I got married. And
Wow.
I had my own set of questions which was going in my mind as to what is going to happen, because he doesn't come from an architecture background,
Yes.
um, and comes from a family which is a little conservative, or probably being conservative was more of self-inflicted from my end. Uh, Maybe to be in the good books as a young bride, or but the best thing is that I continued to study, and there were many a times when I felt that I'm unable to juggle between both, even though I used to complete all my household chores and go home. I mean, go to the school and come back and then stay overnight. Most of the time, maybe staying night, I mean, staying whole night awake. And I think it started at a very young age for me,
Yeah.
from the first year architecture itself, not because of the submission, because of something else, because I had additional job. And the only time I would get is in the nights to finish my submission, and to work on my design, and then to read. Because, as I said, that was not the kind of a maybe that was not the kind of uh, there was no such work demand or a work pressure as far as the college is concerned. But that, as I said, it was more of a
Self
pressure which was
driven.
self-inflicted, as to do better till you yourself are satisfied, whatever you're doing, little bit, whether it's your basic design, or you're reading on aesthetics and arts, or whether you're designed to improve your primary school, and then you keep reading, and then you find someone's work fascinating, and then you try to see that how do you bring in part of it, or try to bring in or imbibe or emulate that. It never disheartened me that I never, whether I'm fared well or whether I'm graded well or not, because uh, it never mattered to me then. Um,
There were too many things in life, I guess.
Too many things, actually. Um, so, but the time we had this, mathematics as a subject. We had a mechanical engineering, and then strength of the material, design of structures, and we had a design structural thesis. We had this thesis, and I could. There was this one subject which I don't know for what reason I kept flunking first year mechanical. Can you believe it? But I'm able to fare well and do well in the complex subjects of strength of material, and then I really do well in the structure thesis. But then I don't know whether it was some kind of whether I offended any teacher, one of the teachers, and that's the reason I ended up in this. It never, I mean, it never occurred to me, and I never bothered. So somehow, uh, my training period again influenced the way, because it somehow supported my line of thought. And I was with this man, of office of two people, two brothers, um, very simple, very down to earth, and so were their projects. Uh, Innovative in terms of the way that they were addressing sustainability, which now we are making big noise, right? They were doing
Yeah,
them very
they were
silently.
already doing it.
Yes, yes. And they would hardly speak Mansi. And my only job was, again, like a hungry woman, keep seeing their projects, go onto their sites, uh, do the models, and try to figure out how they are doing it, because there's hardly not much of communication which used to happen. I mean, and he would just come, the elder Shankar Kanade, and he would just scribble something and say, develop this. And then I would go ahead, develop, do the models, and I would go ahead. Um, then I ended up buying one of a book which is called Money, which had a compilation of a cost-effective housing, and they had their work was featured, and I used to spend time on their sites, especially Air Force and Naval Housing Board in Bangalore, which was done uniquely by making use of granite stones, and they could cut the cost by 20-30% when compared to the conventional cost. That influenced my thesis, and I came back, and then Karnataka Housing Board ended up floating this project of having a neighborhood of 5,000 people, very close to Gulbarga, around 6 to 7 kilometers, and I took up that as my project. It's my thesis project, and tried to do a lot of reading of Doshi's work, of his Adanya, and then other housing board, and then look at Kanade's work, look at Sharad Padalkar's work, and somehow managed to do my project, which not only was handling the housing, but there that was the time when I was trying to look at community spaces, spaces for markets. How do I deal with these people, because they are the local tandas, or the we had this Lamani tandas in and around, and this housing board was close to them, and then try to understand that how do I provide space for them to to sell their fresh produce. So there came the weekly market, and then the small school, and an Anganwadi, and then I made use of the limestones, which is abundantly available in that Gulbarga and Sedam and Wadi, and that's the reason why you have so many cement plants there. And then to support it, that I'm able to reduce the cost. I did the detailed estimates of my entire project, right from land development to how much the infrastructure would cost, and how much each typology would cost, or each, and it suited all the pockets. So I ended up doing that. I don't know. I I was, whether I was able to convince or not, but then I was very much convinced that I can, this particular method, if applied or if adopted, can reduce the cost to 40%. Um, my jury was more of a split jury. I had already completed my jury. The one of the juror had not come. He was an alumni of one of the Bangalore colleges. So he ends up coming in the evening, and then I'm being called back home from home, saying that you will have to come back and give the jury once again. So I had my jury twice. So I did that. Uh, that's it. So for me, because by the time we graduated, we were just three of us. So maybe I fared well, if you want to look in terms of. But I didn't. It did not take any shape in terms of me going ahead and getting it implemented, or chasing the government housing boards and seeing, because I was not trained for that. No one trained me that how do you get a project. No one taught how do you get a project. And there I was, I graduated, and I was still not having my family, so there were you know constant pressure that you still do not have children 5 years down the line. So as I said, there were other pressures, uh, and it did not disturb me, but then yes, it's there always at the back of your mind.
Yes.
uh, and you're juggling up so many jobs, so many responsibilities, trying to keep everyone happy, you know.
Okay.
Um, it becomes difficult. And then you're doing your share of job by going to the in-laws during holidays. When everyone is enjoying holidays, you are going there to, really work hard on other fronts. And then
Yes, I
come
can
back and
imagine
take
that.
up. So it on and on and on. It just went on. And then you are out. And then soon after that, I joined one of my senior as an associate. Two of them, they were two of them, and so I joined them, and I ended up getting a free hand to do my to the projects. So they were into these, World Bank funded hospital projects. So I did a
Wow.
couple of projects which got them those commissions. Uh, I had a good hand, I mean, free hand to actually do up, did hostel blocks, did a part of the Humpy University, one of the administrative blocks. So I really enjoyed that phase. But then I took a
Nice.
break. I took a break because um, I was pregnant with my first child, and then I went to work for almost for 8 months, and then I took a break of 5 months, and then I joined back.
Okay.
I took a break of for 5 months, and then I joined back the office, and then I worked there for a year. Uh, that was in '94, and 93. Yeah, 94. The whole of '94 was there, and then in I quit the job because I was unable to juggle both, and
Yes.
then uh, because the house was close by, so I used to take these breaks in between to feed my baby and then come back. So
Wow.
that's how I was managing. Uh,
I was about to ask you your work-life balance, so it's good to hear from you. Hmm. So you were having one sibling by then, and you also had right after your second sibling.
yes, my first baby was born 95, 93 December. He was born, and my daughter was born 95 November. Yes, that's how 1.5 years of gap. So,
You
uh,
had just
by the
graduated,
time
probably. You had just graduated that time.
I had just graduated, and I
Yes.
did not waste a single moment saying that I'm done, so I'm going to sit. No, because I was I would say that I was really lost by the time I had finished Mansi ke ab mera kya hoga, because as
Ah,
long as you were studying and things seemed to be fine, and you
yes.
could dare to dream, and then
Yeah.
there's no one to stop you, and you are living in your own dream. But then suddenly when it strikes, okay, now that I'm graduated, how do I start my office now? Where do I start? I can't go to a bigger cities, and architecture in Gulbarga then it had just two firms, and one of the firms was the place where I was working, and they were just 2 years elder to me, my seniors who had started together. So I just joined them, and they had their contacts, so they were managing to get jobs. And since they were handling the site work, I was mostly handling the design part. Yes, I used to get my share of because I was very clear that I would like to go to the site, and then I ended up going onto the site, giving the marking and all that, and to supervise and all. So I managed fairly well then. And then there was one of my senior who was already working in the school from where I graduated. She said that there is an opening, and the HOD wants you to come and teach. I said, I mean, how can I
Where
teach
was it?
now? Gulbarga.
Okay, in
Same place.
Gulbarga itself. Because I
Yeah.
know now you are in Hubli for many years now. So I was
Yeah.
thinking,
I'm talking about Gulbarga now. This is my undergraduation. I graduated from Gulbarga University, and then there was this opening, and then she said, "Why don't you join?" And I was still thinking in whether I should be quitting this job because I was unable to handle this. And I thought, okay, I'll take up teaching. By then, my daughter was, uh, I think she was 5 months old when I again, I just for both my children, I think I must have stayed only for 5 to 6 months home. And after that, I was juggling. Every hour I used to be back and look into this because it's a small place and I could manage to do that.
yeah.
Uh, so I joined the school, and uh, yes, I was given because there were very few of us who was handling the whole all the years. So So I was a part of a thesis design team. I was teaching contemporary architecture. I was doing field work. That is
That's a
because this
benefit of
was,
going to
yes,
getting
yes,
into a small school, you know.
yes. Yeah, I mean, I was a part of I started off with the measure drawing documentation for the first time there. So uh, I took these students to one of the villages in Gulbarga, and then we collaborated with Intact then, and then we mapped and documented some of the houses there. And one of the houses, you still see them in Dakshin Chitra, house of a weaver close by to Gulbarga. Um, Maybe I'm now trying to see my fascination for, I mean, uh, buildings which already exist, and buildings not designed by architects. You know, I was
Yeah,
more
I get
drawn
it. Mm.
towards that than buildings which were designed by master architects. I will be very frank with you. Yes, I did visit a couple of times IIMB. I roamed around because I was undergoing a training then. And I used to go to these sites of Shankar Kanade's work. But I did see the glimpses of those,
You
should
still
I
had your
say,
grandmother's nostalgia going
yeah,
on
but
in your
then
head.
these architects' work, I did see those glimpses of, they did really capture the community spaces. They did capture somewhere that rusticness or the ruralness into the way they designed the entire built fabric, So maybe it was to a human scale, so I was able to relate to it. So these were the kind of subjects, right from thesis to campus planning. There's nothing called urban design then. I never knew there was something called urban design
Yeah.
then. But my fascination still continued for fine art. So I used to draw. I had that was the first time I got this acrylic paint. So I was more into abstract. I didn't know what I was doing, but that gave me a lot of satisfaction. So that was maybe there's some sort of letting out your emotions or letting out your I
Yes,
do not know. You
absolutely.
can
Yeah.
coin whatever word you want to, but that really gave me
Yeah.
a lot of happiness, a lot of joy and happiness. Then that took me to Delhi for one of the um, there was a Binale, and then uh, uh, there was some painting competition where I got to meet Manjeet Bawa and then see his works and then sit and listen to him. So I really did meet. So uh, till then, I had this feeling that I don't know what I'm doing. I think I am a right person to be into finance and then do these large sculptures and work on wood and and then I'm finding it maybe because I was unable to, even though I was working in a firm, I still felt that there were a lot of restrictions in terms of your creativity getting manifested into how you wanted. Maybe I was
Yes.
a little
In
selfish.
architecture, it is
Then,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
yes,
guess
Mansi,
because of the constraints we have because when we dream, there are certain things which have to be brought to reality, and it comes
yeah,
in a very different form when it is in architecture.
yes,
I
yes,
will bring your memories back to your personal life again because my next question hints towards some life-changing moments, and I am aware of some of them, which also
yes,
brought you to urban design, and you were then slowly shifting gear to becoming a single mother. So I would like
yes.
to know that transition period,
Mm,
if you don't mind sharing it briefly or at length. And yes, from your childhood and all those sketching and thinking and so far or your descriptions, I had no doubts then also and today as well that why you landed up in urban design and and the way you really carry out these urban design studios. So I really have no doubts. I don't know whether you still doubt whether you should be in arts or architecture,
no, 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 no. I
because
have no
I have
doubts.
not met many urban designers, to be honest, in this country as I know you. So, some life changing moments which also brought you to urban design because from there we started knowing each other at SEP
Yes,
campus.
yes, yes.
So,
Yeah,
please share that.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So, well, how do I start now? This was both my children were infant then, and my father took a break because, as I said, my father's is a transferable job. So he was working with ACC Cements in Shahabad, where his life started, because he started his career with IIT Mumbai as a faculty then, as a young graduate, because he comes from a very, very small and a remote place, a self-made man, absolutely no support system in place in terms of any kind of friends or any kind of relatives. So his mother was also a single mother, because she lost her husband, and her father lost his father at a very young age. And he was and my granny really worked hard, working in the on the farmlands of people. And my father is to she put him on a job in one of the school teachers place, to something like a gurukul, that you have to be with this person, and then whatever the lady of the family says, you will have to do it. And that's how he his journey started. So I really look upon my father as an inspiration to this date, even though he's not around, because I always feel that the level of resilience he had and the kind of hardship he has seen um, all along, that makes me to get up every time I'm knocked down. So
Yeah, I can
to
imagine that.
this, huh?
I
Yeah,
can imagine that.
yeah, yeah. So I don't have to look out anyone. I have to just look
Yeah,
at him. You know,
yeah, because we
that's how it
talked
is.
very often about these things in both of
Yeah.
our lives. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
can very
Yes.
much understand that.
Yeah. So when I was working in this firm, I somehow felt that it is still. That's when I felt for the first time that this seems to be a men's field and not women's field, because I somewhere felt that they were feeling challenged, that because I most of the time I used to demand that I would like to go onto the side, and I was kept aside very subtly, that आप drawings देख लीजिए, yeah, working drawings देख लीजिए. So that's when I have started feeling it. And um I never got an experience on that front, as far as how a whole office runs, in terms of how do you handle a client. Or I did do a couple of projects. To my luck, I did a project of an artist who was also a faculty from Bachelor of Fine Arts. And then I really did a good job, because he wanted a house on a 30-40 plot. And his requirement was that, Gitanjali, no matter at which level, because the whole house was designed in such a manner that it had split level, because he wanted this wall space, so that wherever he is, he should be in a position to see whatever paintings he is hanging, because he himself was an artist. So that was a big challenge for me. And then I really did a good job, because he appreciated. So that's how I can say very confidently that he was very happy with the way what I did, putting all his private quarters and sleeping at a lower level. And then he could the way the lobby area, the living and the dining at different levels were split up, that he was getting huge volume of space to hang his paintings were quite life size kind of a thing. So uh, that gave a lot of satisfaction, because that was both, marrying painting and then trying to see this artist, his work, because I appreciate his work, the kind of works he did. Lohar sir, I remember him still. Um, so after joining the school, and as I said, my father was with he moved back to he we moved back from Delhi to Gulbarga. That's when my father was asked to start from a scratch. I mean, right from the it was a groundbreaking thing to put up this Rajeshri cement for Basant Kumar Birla, because and Aditya Birla, that was the first cement plant which came up uh, of the Birla group of companies. And that's when he came back to Salem. And from there, he again left to Kerala. When I was married, he was already in Kerala. He was in Trivandrum. He was in Valyar. This is called Malabar Simmons and his township was designed by Charles Correa. So Mansee, that's where, I was very fortunate to be in a campus designed by Charles Correa and then go and meet Laurie Baker, spend the whole day with him, went to just seek for half an hour, but then I ended up spending whole day with his family. Uh, so these were really, really great moments for me to really meet these simple people, but yet who have had such a deep impact on me as a young architect and a mother. Uh, we he came back, and then I somehow felt that things were not working between us, and then somewhere I felt that uh, I'm supposed to take. I felt, or probably I put it on my head that hey, kids are my responsibility, and I'm supposed to take care of them. And any human being, or for that matter, um, one should know one's responsibility towards oneself, towards your
Yeah.
family members, towards the society, towards the community, towards uh, all living beings. That's how I look at it, because you are born as a human being. You're not an animal. When you have, God has given you that responsibility of even taking care of those who cannot even take care of them. And these shouldn't be taught, because these are this you come with that package, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what my
But
expectations
that's
were very high.
parenting. That's parenting. Then only you come with that package. Otherwise, you don't come with that package.
Well, that's a different set of debate. I feel that I don't see all animals and the birds go through this parenting. No, do they?
No.
Do you see?
Yeah,
Do you
but
see that? Do you see that do you think that they go through a formal training before they take care of their offsprings? No. So maybe this is how I thought. So I said, fair enough. Then if this is how it is, when I'm supposed to take care of them, so fair enough. So I will do it. And that's when my parents moved to Hubli, um, because he, uh, he he wanted to start something, establish some factory for my brother, younger brother. So we moved to Hubli, and I was not very clear whether I should be moving with him to Hubli or whether I should stay back and do something of my own. That's when my father said, you're young and your children are still more younger, and then you can't handle this alone, and you have to come along with us. That's how I ended up coming along with them to Hubli in the year 1998, August. And since then, I'm here, very much here. I
yeah.
came here, and the last thing which I wanted to do, Mansi, was to join a college. I didn't want it to. I really wanted to work. The very purpose of leaving then office and then joining the teaching was that was giving me an opportunity to balance my family life and family responsibilities, and most importantly, children. And
Yes.
then profession, I could have just taken a break for a year and two and said, ठीक है अभी मैं माँ बनती हूँ सिर्फ मम्मी का काम करती हूँ, and then I know I never, it never struck me that I should be taking that kind of off, because that really scared me that I'll be
Yeah, I
left
can
behind.
imagine that. Even, I mean, I can't imagine sitting for a few days doing nothing. And especially the way you are talking, you are completely immersed in actually in the profession. And that's interesting to see, because your responses are more professional than I was actually anticipating. But it is very inspiring, to be honest, that how you, as you rightly said, that whenever I was made to knock down, I just rose, and it is very much evident from you. And we met in SEPT University. You came as my junior to do urban design, and you were already a single mother. And actually, I came to know about it much later than that, if you recall. I was not
Yes,
knowing till that time, and it
none
came as
of
a
them.
shock to me.
No one knew that, Mansi.
Yeah,
No one knew that. Maybe Professor Minakshi Jain must have felt it, or Kamesh, my classmate, because he never felt it. I used to miss my children, that's all. But they never knew that there's something, because I never. Um, I felt that why should it be made public?
Yeah, and also
Uh,
you never took it as an issue, you just moved on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This was not an issue at all for me. I said, I
Even
took
till
it.
date I see you.
Yeah. No,
You
I don't see. Yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
they are very well raised, because I see them, and you also dared to put your daughter also in architecture, and now she's
well,
doing good.
but
Uh,
it was her choice, Mansi. I told her it's not going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. And I think my children matured at a very young age because I think circumstances make them more responsible. So my children are, कहते हैं ना जो उम्र से पहले बड़े होना. I see them that, they have that in them, both of them, very sensitive to what is happening around, sensitive to the way things are operated at home, sensitive to not being very demanding, I mean, these things really matter, and always a helping hand at a very young age. So, yes, I'm blessed. As I said, everybody, I was, maybe I was destined to bring up these children. So that's the reason this is my life story. So
yeah. Yeah, but
I take it that
I
way.
had questions on opportunities and challenges of being woman in this profession, but the way you have beautifully crafted the opportunities and as well as challenges, the challenges not even look like challenges, when the way
Yes.
you have told them. But I still would like to ask you few questions related to being woman in when you are actually in the profession. So keeping, let's say, how you feel, but let's say when you are inside, when you are in
Yeah.
academics, when you are in meetings, because I also see through your work and knowing you for nearly 20 years now, you have a very good mix of doing really good projects, and that too heritage and sustainability
Yeah.
kind of projects, and a rich body of academic work. So I still want to ask you this question, because you have been very nice to you know uh, get away from these challenges, but some instances where you were made to feel being woman, either in academics or in meetings or in anywhere. Have you really come
I
across these situations, or you also got
Yes.
advantaged probably being woman?
No, 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 absolutely no advantage to this date, I would say. Absolutely not a single moment. I remember that, yes, I have been and I had an edge over the men folk just because I'm a woman. Never, never. And well, as I said, moving to Hubli and then swearing not to join college, the college which sits right across the road from my house. You have seen my house.
Yeah, and I love that situation, by the way. I think it's like grass is greener.
No, it I could see it from my gallery, and it never struck to me that I should be joining this. So I decided that I am not going to join academics. I have to get back to the field. I think I can do that. My daughter is 3 years old, my son is 5 years old, and I have to find my way out. So I, start applying for job in Hubli. Then I go to one of the most eminent architect who happens to be also the one of the most key architects and founding member of the school and all. And then I go there and I get myself interviewed. And then I have this condition saying that I should be allowed to design. I should be allowed to go onto the site. I should be allowed to, supervise. That was
So
a too
was
tall an
you
order.
putting your conditions,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
employer putting the conditions to you?
Me, myself. I said, this is what I'm expecting. And probably that they must have felt uneasy about it. So I never got a job then. And somewhere I felt because we never had computers then, so I felt that there are certain skills which I need to upgrade other than reading, other than seeing places and computer skills. So I enrolled myself for these courses in CAD and anything. And then there were times when I felt, because I had to, even though I was staying with my parents, I would, you can say me that uh, uh, जो अपने अंदर जो स्वाभिमान होता है, that I will look after myself and I will look after my children, and I will never be a burden. I will try to be, you know, more independent in terms of taking care of myself, even though I was living with them. And I did that. I really did that. And somewhere I felt in between that, uh, because I used to go to Dharwad. I did not get a job in Hubli because I was unable to strike anything. I was unable to understand what do I do. Then suddenly someone put me across a builder who needs an architect, and he was based in Dharwad, Twin City Dharwad. So
Yeah,
I used to
it's
shuttle
much
between
better
Hubli.
place for architecture, by the way.
Yes, now, not then. So I joined a builder and I did a couple of projects, uh, and then since he needed only for a few projects, so I did that, and then I was back, and I didn't know what to do, so I ended up started. I had this list of places of early Chalukyan period architecture where you have a lot of hamlets in and around Hubli Dharwad, which I had studied. I had a book on history of architecture, which father had got it, not a part of the curriculum, because this and I used to, like was very hungry to see कि ये कहाँ पे जगह, ये कहाँ है, nearby places. So I ended up, you know, mapping in the sense that I should go to these places. सुबह जाओ और शाम में आओ, धक्के धुक्के खाओ, बस में जाओ, घूमो, and पागलों के जैसे गाँव में घूमो, and then see and then take shots and then do some sketches and then figure out कि अब मैं क्या करूँ इनका. They seem to be in a bad condition and as such beautiful community space, as such beautiful. How do I do and what do I do? I didn't know what do I
Is
do.
this when you ended up actually getting connected to Intact? Is it the time when
No,
you act? No,
no. Intact, I did a project for Intact in 1993 when I was in Gulbarga. That was just one house which got documented. And
I think
this
I
was,
meant UNESCO also because you also
no,
did some
no.
work with.
UNESCO came quite late, Mansi, in 2011.
Okay,
Yeah, very late. This I'm talking about 98, 99. So 6, 7 months after finishing the commission at Dharwad, I ended up just traveling around. And वो भी कैसे that कि आप सुबह जाओ और शाम तक वापस घर क्योंकि बच्चे छोटे हैं, and so then it was more of taking photographs, and that's when I had applied for the first time for uh, for some kind of a scholarship to do my master's MA in conservation in York University with some kind of work. Some I did not get through because it was routed through SPA Delhi from through Nalini Thakur. So I didn't get through. I don't know. I must have because generally people doing their MA conservation end up getting these scholarship. I had just a graduation degree then,
yeah.
and then the kind of salary which I was drawing was somewhere I felt key with this kind of a salary. I don't think so. I can pull on for, and I am unable to, and I didn't know what to do. And interestingly, the experience of having worked in a firm in Gulbarga and experience of teaching in Gulbarga was not considered as an experience in the present college where I worked. Isn't it weird? It is simply weird. So
Yes,
I said that I'm
it's a
entitled
small
for,
city syndrome.
yeah, small city syndrome. Yes, very much. So I said then I'm entitled for so and so position and I'm entitled for so and so package. They said, no, you please, if you had a master's, probably we would have thought of. That's when it struck to me that if I have to, because I have to balance this and this act of balance between family and profession is going to go long. And I was never prepared to compromise one or the other. I wanted to strike a
I think
balance.
that's a typical woman problem, huh?
Yeah,
We want both, and that too, we want to do best in both, and that
yeah,
is where
both.
we put
Yes.
ourselves into trouble.
Yeah, you get burned. You know, you get burnt every time, and you get burnt and charred, and then you have to again get up. That's how those have been repeated cycles of being charred and then getting up. So um, then I decided that I should go for my master's, and that's when I applied. And there were problems and hurdles there also in my university. They said कि आप कैसे जा सकते हो, आपको आए हुए 1 साल भी नहीं हुआ है. There are people standing in a row to finish their masters. uh, that's when I had to meet one of the founding member, and I went. I mean, I was very bold enough to go all the way to the headquarter office and say, "Look, I'm so and so from your institution. I have been promised when I was recruited that they will allow me to go for my masters. I'm not asking you to fund me, but I would want you to send me. Please allow me to go because somewhere I felt that it never struck to me that I should resign and go because somewhere I had this that I'm going to stay in
And you were
Hubli.
already fighting for your right.
Yes. I was already fighting. So there were hurdles here in the school. They were not allowing me. And then I said, I reminded them, look, this is what you promised. One of the person, the member was in a meeting, in my interview meeting. I said, I went and met him. I hope you remember me. And I've been promised. And he said, uh, up, go back and we will look into it. And probably they got a call from there. And then they said, I should be allowed to go.
Yeah.
And that's
And
how.
yeah, that's how urban design. And since urban design, I see that you're completely soaked in urban design and you're taking urban design studio every year and year and year. I think 15 years now you're taking urban design. We come near to the end of this conversation, Geeta, with all these beautiful stories from your end. And I would like you to give some, there are a lot of messages indeed, which you have given, especially standing for your
I would
right
like to
and
add this,
opportunity.
Mansi.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to add this, Mansi. After graduation, this was my question to Rameshwar also. Rameshwar sir, we ended up learning urban design. हमें urban design projects कैसे मिलेंगे? अभी आप बताएंगे आप?
Same question. Even
उनसे कोई
after
आंसर
20
नहीं मिला.
years.
हाँ?
Even
So
after
he
20
started saying,
years.
he gave that grin, I said, sir, कैसे आप कैसे करते हो? और हम कैसे कर रहे हैं? छोटे छोटे गांव जाके सब लोग तो अहमदाबाद में बच नहीं सकते, everybody has to do
अहमदाबाद में
their
भी
bit.
कहाँ है अर्बन डिजाइन
तो
luckily
वो
one of
पता
my
नहीं.
classmate is getting now urban design projects now, so I was making fun of her yesterday that finally probably urban design has arrived in the country. And by the way, yesterday was IUDI, that
Yeah, I
Institute
know
of
that,
Urban
Bangalore.
Designers, they have
Yeah,
their year
yeah,
completed.
yeah. I'm aware
So
of that. I'm aware of that.
yeah,
So
so
when I came back, urban design accept was more of, catching up with that gap, and then the gap which was both age gap, and a gap in terms of experience, and then the gap of belonging to a small remote, unknown institution, which is not even, no one knows that there is something institute like this exists, and people from there graduate and
अरे
come to.
बेलगाम को I had a friend from Belgaum, and I was saying Belgium all the time in my so I knew Belgium and I was not knowing Belgaum to my
Yeah, yeah,
surprise
yeah.
in urban design. So you can imagine.
Yes, yeah, it was a long journey, and I had to catch up a lot through a lot of reading, and Professor Varki was my guide, and then I lost him in between. He met with an accident, so I was left again without a thesis guide. The same thing happened at an undergraduate. I did not have a guide because in one of the council visit, I ended up opening my mouth and saying कि कोई पढ़ाता नहीं, कोई लिखाता नहीं, कोई कुछ नहीं करता, तो ये चला गया सीधे चोरी को. तो उन्होंने कहा, I never expected this from you, and I thought I'm going to fail, but somehow they didn't fail me, and I ended up topping the undergraduate, topping or no topping. But then I think I made myself very clear as a student also कि आप पढ़ाओ तो सही, पढ़ने के लिए बैठे हैं तो आप पढ़ाते नहीं हो.
And I see
तो
how student you are even today, because you are more student in your class than your students are students. You know? So with that
Mansi,
note, I
that's
want to
rightly put
ask
it.
you, yeah, what?
वे पुट इट वेरी राइटली, क्योंकि मेरा टेंशन स्टूडियो फ्लोट करने से पहले शुरू होता है, और वो खत्म होने तक my
उसके
mind will
बाद
be,
भी चलता है और
I'll be
students
working on the
are over
proposal,
it.
happy.
Okay,
So
because we talk about students and you being students, my last question, and also the time is now coming towards end for this Zoom also. My last question is your message for the younger generation, and it is not for women or something, but especially keeping in mind how the society and the profession can be more woman inclusive. So your message to the younger generation.
for this profession, of course, the times are different now, and women are, there is a visibility. You take up in, you look into academics, you look into construction company, and you look into, but yes, it's not enough, as you put it rightly. But I think we are, I think, Mansi, all of us are made, irrespective of what degrees or how much of education we have. We have this inherent resilience in us. Of course, and that requires a lot of strength to get up every time the things are not happening the way it should. But then it will make it more, a lot more easier if the the women in the profession help each other.
I
you
so
know.
much agree with you on this, my God.
That
And I
makes
think the
life
word, yes, and
easier.
I think the point you made about resilience, and it applies to both all kinds of gender. It's not about being woman, but I think importantly, if a woman can help each other is very important thing for even for younger generation to
Yes,
get into
yes.
this
I had a team of girls when I was working because uh, coming back after masters, then working for some years, and then feeling that I'm not doing much, then taking a sabbatical, going back and joining an MNC, trying hands, and then really doing large scale master plan project for which you're working right from a scratch, and then some Firangi comes and then he just does the presentation, and then he's the face for the project. So that's
But
where I
that
realized
happens
that I
in
can do.
profession also, Gita, because
Yes,
I have a
yes.
career with a spouse. So it's not about someone else coming from outside. So
No,
we
no,
have
no.
very,
What I'm trying to say that built in that confidence in me that if I can handle this project and which gets a clean chit to get implemented, that's what I have in me. That's when I came back and registered my firm. And that was the first time when I bid for my project. That was the first. Uh, it's a central government project. I didn't even do. I hardly have any residential projects. I did first project for Archaeological Survey of India. I bid. I went through the whole process. Uh, did not know anyone there. There were many pressures here. I tried to start the consultancy cell in the university itself, and my vice chancellor, now present vice chancellor, was very, very, very supportive. He said, "I said, sir, this is 20 years back." Soon after I graduated, when I came back after my master's, he said, "We are not going to earn money as of now, but then let us establish ourselves." That was my first project where I had collaborated with Meenakshi ma'am, and then we did this. They had listed 5 heritage towns. We bid for it, Mansee, as a consortium, and I got all the 5 cities. But they ended up giving only one, and the remaining 4, without our knowledge, was given to the menfolk. I
yeah,
still
that's,
fail to understand how it can happen. It's ethically also it is not correct. Legally also it's not correct. And but I did not have the wherewithal to actually challenge the government decision then.
we
That was my
learn over with
first.
time. We
Yeah,
learn
that
with
was
time.
yeah.
Yeah, we
And
actually learn with
yes,
time.
yeah, and there were many hurdles in the institutional front that I was trying to juggle between both. That one, to bring in some projects, and then there were no compromise on the working hours, and then you're juggling with this, and you still know how things are happening in the institution. I mean, nothing is hidden. That's when I realized, let me start something on my own. And this project came through UNESCO's dossier, and I did that, followed by 15 heritage cities for Karnataka, writing a vision plan and a management. I did that. Competed for many projects, whether it's a museum for Rorika and Svetslav and all, but did not work. My
Doesn't
urban
matter.
design studios,
Trying is important.
urban design studios, the very purpose of doing these studios, which are real time issues, is to engage the community, engage the government stakeholders. They do come, they see, but then instead of we being an important should I say collaborators, you end up being treated as an academic where the very idea is yours, and the idea gets it's a plagiarism. if
Yes.
the if the people in government, if the people who are occupying important positions, they end up having these kind of practices, how do you expect things to change?
It will
This is,
change.
I'm
It
so
will
sure,
change.
Mansi, you have worked across the world. People there in other countries really acknowledge ideas, and they are acknowledged, appreciated, in terms of word of appreciation, monetarily or otherwise also. Here, you're just sidelined.
I think we
Process
learn
of being sidelined makes me all the more, yeah, the process of
resilient.
sideline doesn't, yeah, I just don't care a damn. I
Yeah, we
know
have
it's
to
been
keep
happening.
trying. I think we have to keep trying. So we are coming towards the end of the conversation, Geeta. So I would like you to give some message to the younger generation, particularly yeah, focusing on being more inclusive for women. And I mean, it is really nice to hear all those, your journey. But I think it is important that as seniors, we have gone through this life. It's important we give them some, takeaways. And that's also my last question. So please go ahead.
Well, Mansi, I think the present generation women in architecture profession as well as into academics are far more smarter and are, uh, should I say, are in a position to take up this multitasking both on the home front and on the professional front. Are much more clearer in terms of what they want, and without mincing words, they know what to prioritize. Also, you know,
We were also
maybe
like this, by the way. Huh? We were also like this in our
yes,
those
yes, but
days.
then there were times where
But this,
we did not have that kind of a clarity, and it was the lines
and
were
also the
always blurred.
society was
Yes,
very different than it is today.
that's what I'm trying to say. That when I
Hmm.
say today, I mean the present period.
Yeah,
We might have had the same strength, and we might have had the same clarity, but then there were many other things which compelled us to take certain decisions where we had to
yes,
somewhere compromise. So, uh, looking at the profession, I think to be more inclusive, I think there's no other way to move ahead other than uh, including everyone into the folds of any decision making as far as the profession of architecture is concerned. Women who are pursuing fields of urban design, urban planning, where you're dealing with more people, and you're not confined to a single lot. To them, I say inclusion or inclusivity is there. I mean, it's taught in theories, but then in practice, it's always better that such projects calls for a lot of collaboration. Uh, so let there be healthy collaboration and help each other to grow. And I think women should support and encourage other women, irrespective of which field they are, because you do a lot of learning happens, need not be from your own field, but the very field itself is multidisciplinary. Mansi, I think we should be a little more we shouldn't hesitate to collaborate with people
yes,
from a different walk of life, which will
yes.
make your solutions to the city more rich and more uh, realistic, and it will solve the real world problem in a more
I am
holistic manner.
experiencing it every day
Yeah.
with my, multidisciplinary engagements.
Yes. Yes. So this is what I have to say. And with this, with the new technology, it's not difficult, and you need not sit under a single roof to collaborate. So you can sit in your own places and then do what is best, whatever project you are doing. So that is the message from my end. To aspire to be a planners, or where they have to deal with a larger society, and they can start their practice and simply start rather than think the way I was thinking, ab kya hoga? Kuch nahi hoga. Just jump into it. I think you need to jump into it.
Sorry, it's also
Yeah.
about opportunity and having that clarity and even jumping itself. I mean, I because I come across many students now, and you too, being in the teaching field, that they do need some kind of direction or get started situation rather than being on their own. And that's where I think your
I
message
think
is
in
important.
academics, some kind of hand holding should happen.
Yes, and also
You know?
your message about being more resilient and to be
Yes.
ready to rise when you have this low time or low days. It's very
Yeah,
important.
every time you will be knocked down, you have to get up. There's no other way
I
out. Is
think
there a way
that's
out?
the punchline I would like to
There's
take
no
from
way
it.
out. There's
There's
no
no
way
way
out. You
out.
have to get up.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one question on how cities will be different, but you have been, you have been answering that question from point one, that how cities would be different if women were looking at cities or doing
Of
cities.
course, Mansi,
So,
yes.
so it
Women in the leadership role, women into politics, women into administrative role, and women at the forefront in farming activities can take care of all your SDGs with your struggling with.
yes, I
That's
think
what I feel
that's important. That's
strongly.
important.
Women in water, women in agriculture, women. I believe very strongly these leadership roles, the ladies or the women folk should lead from the front
But, so it has
because
to
they
be
are
both
already
ways.
there.
It
Yeah,
has
both
to
the
be both
ways.
ways. Women have to take
Yes.
that responsibility, and men have to be little more accommodating. So I
Well, I
think
think they will be accommodative, when you start showing results.
yes, I guess so. And I
Because
think
we are,
also we need to do a little bit more about men also. I am realizing it more, that we need to do more training program and more sensitizing and asking about to men, that where is the space for women? Probably some research in future.
why don't you have another set of interviews for men in architecture? You may be selective in the way you pick up.
Asking men about women in architecture. That will be a good, probably next project.
You should do that.
Okay, I
What do
think
you have
that's
to
a
say
yeah,
about
I
women in
think that's a
architecture?
very good note to bring this conversation to an end. I really want to thank you. We have
Thank
talked a
you.
million times in last 20 years, but this is
Yes.
definitely special for me, as well as I hope for you. And I see that you
Yes.
were not stressed at all, and
Absolutely.
it's really pleasure to document your thoughts in this research, and I hope to do justice in the writing and recording. And with this, I also thank Soumya to help us do these sessions for us. And thank you, Geeta. Thank you so much. I will connect you
Thank
outside
you.
the Zoom, and we talk about technology is making it easy for us, actually.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
anyway going to do this research after Ahmedabad piloting in a digital mode, and now Corona is helping me to do it in digital mode. It was anyway planned like this, so
Yes, of
it's
course.
very
Yes.
good. Thank you so much, Geeta, and do take care,
Thank
and
you,
we'll talk
Mansi.
soon. Thank
Very
you.
soon. Thank you, Soumya, and thank you, Mansi, for having me. And thank you. I mean, I had a very lovely chat, I would say. I mean, you took me back to almost 20, 30 years
Time
back. So it
machine
was,
and the
yes,
time
yes, of
machine.
course. And I have, it was very enriching for me because it doesn't, I mean, when I look back, I feel that it was a very good journey.
Yes, I guess so. I'm sure. I'm sure. We all cherish all this, huh? Whatever
Yes,
we
yes,
have
yes,
achieved so far.
yes.
And this is why we so much enjoy sharing with the younger generation. And I can see that in your work, and also I'm seeing it in other women's work. Thank you so much, and take care,
Thank you.
and bye
You
bye.
too.
Ciao.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Soumya. Bye.
Hi, ma'am.
Bye.